The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Jesus went across the Sea of Galilee. A large crowd followed him because they saw the signs he was performing on the sick. Jesus went up on the mountain, and there he sat down with his disciples. And the Jewish feast of Passover was near. When Jesus raised his eyes and saw that a large crowd was coming to him, he said to Philip, "Where can we buy enough food for them to eat?" He said this to test him, because he himself knew what he was going to do. Philip answered him, 200 days' wages worth of food would not be enough for each of them to have a little. And one of the disciples, Andrew, the brother of Simon Peter, said to him, "There is a boy here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. But what good are these for so many?" And Jesus said, "Have the people recline." Now there was a great deal of grass in this place, so the men reclined, about 5,000 in number. Then Jesus took the loaves, gave thanks, and distributed them to those who were reclining, and also as much of the fish as they wanted. When they had their fill, he said to his disciples, "Gather the fragments left over, so that nothing will be wasted." So they collected them and filled 12 wicker baskets with fragments from the 5 barley loaves that had been more than they could eat. And when the people saw the sign he had done, they said, "This is truly, truly the prophet, the one who is to come into the world." And since Jesus knew that they were going to come and carry him off to make him king, he withdrew again to the mountain alone. The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
The second reading today from Paul pretty much sets the theme for our masses this weekend. Paul speaks to us of being united in Christ, that we are called to share our gifts with others. In today's gospel, we hear probably one of the best-known miracles of Jesus. Yet I wonder if we've gotten the message any better than the Jews did 2,000 years ago. Jesus' actions here is not just multiplying bread to eat, but of the transformation that should take place in people. This was meant as a breakthrough into the way of life that would be based on trust, sharing, and concern for others. The Jews were more interested in making Jesus a king than in sharing with one another. How about all of us here this morning? Changing the world is not possible, so it's said. I think that it is only because of our picture of life, which isn't very big. We're like the servant of Elisha, or like Andrew in the gospel. We don't see options because of built-in safety valves that protect our own lifestyles. The story is told of a lad who was 14 years old, and he lived on a farm. There was an accident, and his sister, who was on the tractor, it turned over, and she was caught underneath the tractor. Her younger brother lifted the end of the tractor so that she could get out. Later on, when he tried to show his friends how he did it, he wasn't able to even budge it. In reflecting on the whole situation of sharing with others the blessings that we have, I couldn't help but think of what went on in our country just a little over 100 years ago. In In a couple of the southern states, the majority of the people were black slaves. But a small minority of the people, who were white, ruled the land. It was a rule of fear by the whites and a total lack of sharing and respect of others. Even today, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. The few want no change in their lifestyle, but they have it at the expense of all the others. In the USA last year, there was more money spent on food for dogs and cats in 1 year than it was spent on food for the people in the country of Nigeria, and that's 178 million of them. I could go through all kinds of statistics, but to no avail if we don't do something about it. Let's start right in our own homes. During Mass today, count a couple of blessings, 3, maybe 5 blessings that you have that you could share with others. Keep them simple, not big things. For example, food, your car, clothes, all kinds of things. Many times it's just laziness on our part when it comes to thinking of others. We can become very selfish in our society today. We can become very unchristian. Make the gospel come alive in your own life today. Otherwise, we're spinning our wheels coming to Mass each week after week. Jesus has to make a difference in our lives if we're going to be called Christians. Think big. There are many ways in which you can change the world, whether it's in your own home, your neighborhood, or even around the world. Be inventive.